Michael, how you going?
G'day, Derby.
Mate, just before you start, I mean, we are in Steam Company today. We've got a very special guest for Burners TV. Feel very happy to have met the man today, and he's going to be our special guest. So, Michael, I'll let you take it from there.
It's an absolute privilege. We're out at Cranbourne today, Dern, and just a little bit of a sneak as to who might be our guest today. Just looking there, the team of the century.
Top left corner there. I wonder who that coach was.
Okay, well, let's just move on to the 1968 Premiership team. This man luckily had this in his cupboard, which we don't have, so we're going to get that up on the website. And he was even able to get a bottle of wine that he was given as Team of the Century coach.
Oh, mate, that'll be magnificent wine if it comes to Blackburn.
It will. So I think we've almost given the game away. So what we want to do is welcome the man who was the Team of the Century coach, coach from 1965 to 1971, ex-Hawthorn player before he came to Blackburn.
Premiership player too.
Premiership player, we'll get to that. And his name is Stead Hay.
Still your Stead, you're a beauty.
Welcome to Burners TV, Stead.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Very high tech here, Stead.
We are indeed. Stead, I mean, once again, we appreciate that you're allowing a couple of strangers into your home in this COVID period.
Yep.
How are you travelling? You keeping well?
Reasonably, yeah.
Yep.
The wife hasn't been quite so good, and I've been sort of sitting at home with her a little bit, so it's restricted to me, but pretty good.
We had the opportunity to meet your lovely wife, Helen.
Indeed, lovely lady.
She's just gone out on an errand, but yeah. Now, Stead, let's go back down memory lane if we can.
Oh, golly.
This might be in two parts because
I need some props.
Well, we'll prompt you. Don't worry about that. Back in 1957, I think was your first year when you went down to Hawthorn and played in the under-18s. Would that be right? As a 17-year-old?
I think it was 56.
56. Right. So you might have gone out as a 16-year-old actually.
Could have.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what are your memories of those days?
Oh, golly. They were good days. We had a good... In those days, the under-18s played as a curtain raiser to the seniors.
Oh, okay. What about the reserves?
The reserves played in the opposition's ground.
Away game.
Yeah, I'm looking at you.
No, look at him.
No, look at me. That's fine. Yep.
Yeah, so we had privy to all the senior games.
Yes.
I think it changed, might have been the next year or the year after.
So you would have got a pretty good crowd there, I'm assuming, watching you
Yes.
Right.
Playing full back and having Collingwood crowd throwing rocks at me.
Right.
In the under-18s.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, passionate.
Well, you moved on from there into the reserves in 1958 and won a premiership with Hawthorn Reserves.
Yes, I think I played a few games in 57 in
the Rezzies.
In the Rezzies at the end of the year.
Yes.
Then I played in 58 in the reserves.
Yes.
We did win a premiership.
And I'm thinking in 1958 you would have played the curtain raiser to Melbourne Collingwood in the premiership that year. Was that?
We played
Grand
Collingwood in that grand final in the second.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. I finished up on Neil Mann.
Oh, is that right?
I looked.
He was a big bloke.
He was. Yeah.
He was a ruckman for Collingwood, I think, wasn't he? Yeah.
Oh, he was. Yeah, I think he did a bit then.
Right.
But it was at the end of his career. He was mainly a forward.
Yes.
Had hands like Stewie
Massive
Lowe.
hands, yeah.
Yeah, like Stewie Lowe.
Holding a dozen eggs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move on. So 58, and then 1959, you made your debut for the Hawthorn Seniors.
Yes, I played in the seconds for best part of the year, I think, which they then went on to win the premiership.
Yes.
That seconds, I was ineligible because I'd been playing in the seniors. There's a limit on the number of games you played in the seniors.
Yep.
Then I got into the seniors.
In 59.
First game?
Yeah,
Yep.
First game, St Kilda at Junction Oval.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know until technically that morning that I was playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I suppose the big thing in 1959 was the last year of Kanga Kennedy's playing career. Do you remember?
Yes, I played with John.
You played with John, and what are your memories of playing with John? And
yes, strong, robust, tough sort of a gent.
yes,
Very educated. but very negative in a lot of his football.
Right.
Coaching John Kennedy was a lot different than playing John Kennedy.
Okay, so how was he defensive when he was playing?
We could be a couple of goals up in the last quarter, the ball would be thrown in from the boundary,
Yep.
and John would just knock it out. That sort of thing.
Yep.
He wasn't able to teach a lot of skills because he didn't have skills. He was just a raw bone, hard working fella.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say,
Couldn't kick. He was a terrible kick.
Right.
Yeah.
Was he a bit Don Scott? Was it a similar sort of player to Don, or
I think Don was a bit more agile.
a bit more polished than
Yeah.
John? I mean, John won 4 best and
I
fairest.
know.
So, yeah.
Well, that was prior to me being there.
Right.
That must have been,
In the early 50s.
early 50s.
And did he have a presence around the
Oh, yes.
when he was playing? And
yes.
Yep.
When he was playing and later on. Usually when somebody has been playing and then goes to a coach from the same team, you'd expect to be buddies with all the teammates,
Yes.
which I think was what happened with Graham Arthur.
Right.
But John was able to hold himself that little bit away from it,
Yes.
even though we were still good mates.
And he would have been still quite young, in his
Yeah.
early 30s, I think.
Yeah. Still good mates, but he was able to hold himself that little bit above.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's stay on John and just today, right now, actually, his funeral's being held. So, very topical because he's recently been inducted in the AFL Legends,
Yes.
and of course his recent passing. Tell us about him as a coach.
Well, when he first started, after about the first 6 games, I don't think we'd won one. And the committee and that are all rumours and the press and everything, you've got to get rid of him,
Something's never changed.
Something's never changed.
That's right, that's right. But they stuck with him, he stayed on, and he developed quickly, I thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
He had his mate in Brendan Edwards, who was able to try and get us fit,
yes.
which John took on board.
Brendan was a fitness fanatic.
Fitness, he had
Yep. Had his own gyms and
he had a gym at the Golden Bowl in
Camberwell.
Camberwell Junction.
yes.
Yes.
I think one thing Helen said before she walked out the door, I asked about Brendan. She goes, "Yeah, he was very popular with the girls." Is that true?
Yes.
Yes.
He drove a Porsche
Oh, gee.
right.
in those,
Well,
In those days.
in those days.
Right.
Yes. I think he had the first Holden FX
Yes.
when he came down from Bendigo when I first met him. And then he soon progressed through the MG to the Porsche.
Right. Very stylish.
Travelling well.
Yeah.
But he helped us in the physical side of it.
Right. Okay.
And John was able to coordinate it.
Yes.
And then John developed the idea that we had to keep moving the ball.
Right.
So it was play on it all the time.
Okay. Was that mainly by foot or handball as well?
Everything.
Just
We had to play on at all times.
Sounds.
And that was just contrary to what I was. I'd mark it and go back and look around and
Yes.
and just kick it, sort of thing.
On the halfback flank.
Yes.
Yep.
But taking a mark and not being able to go back and do it, just
Yes.
handball was completely different to all of us, really.
Oh, I was going to
Yeah.
say, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But
more than modern game.
We missed out his first year, 1960.
Yep.
I think we only missed out on a percentage or something,
Yes.
getting into
Getting in before.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next year we progressed then and played in the grand final.
Before we get to 61, so just with John, I mean, people have memories of the overcoat, the booming
Yes.
voice,
Yep,
Kennedy's Commandos.
yeah.
I mean, you used to go down and run up sand dunes and that type of thing.
A little bit of that sort of stuff. yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And was that something that you naturally enjoyed doing yourself? You like to?
Yeah, I didn't mind that sort of thing.
Yep.
Being a plumber as I was,
Yes.
I worked all day. In those days, you didn't have backhoes or excavators, I think, and any digging was done with a shovel.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So sometimes getting to training in the wet and mud after being in the mud all day, and
Yes.
some of the boys like John Winnicky and those boys,
Who've been in the office, they're
been-
lawyers.
yeah,
Yep.
lawyers and judges and things. That it was an outlet for them.
Yes.
But for me, some of it was a bit.
You done enough hard
You've
yak
had
already.
enough hard
I
yards
worked
through the
hard
day.
all day. Yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And John's, famous delivery, did he have much strategy to his game, or it was just pretty much play on, get the ball and
That was his strategy
endeavour and...
early. Yes.
Yep.
He had a lot of good players. Johnny Peck was full forward. In those days, the full forward stayed there,
Yes,
and he won Coleman.
a couple of times, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Yep.
a couple of times.
Yes,
Graham Arthur, his captain,
was a champion.
was a good footballer.
Yep.
He's and Brendan, as we said.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's go to 61. You play in the grand final.
Yes.
Hawthorn, 36 years since Hawthorn entered the VFL, and just for those younger people, I mean, it was the VFL was the AFL of yesteryear.
Yes.
12 teams, all Melbourne teams.
Yes.
You make the grand final against Footscray,
Teddy Whitten's Footscray.
Teddy Whitten's Footscray.
Yes.
108,000 people there.
I believe so.
Yeah. What are your memories of that day, Steve?
Oh, it was just overwhelming, really,
Yes.
to run out to that crowd. We did play on the MCG quite a bit during the year,
Yes.
but to have it to capacity crowd was a lot different.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was good.
And the game itself, I think you won comfortably on the day.
Not early. I think it was Brendan Edwards again
Yep.
that held us in it until half time.
Right.
And after half time, the rest of us sort of were able to gather our thoughts, I think,
Yes.
and were able to help him.
And it would have been great. Obviously, your brother Phil played
Yes.
as the 19th man on the day.
Yes,
So you
he
both
came on late in the last quarter. Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay.
Had a
Right.
couple of kicks.
No interchange back in those days. It was,
No.
once
We had
you
to-
came off, you stayed off.
We had to run all day.
Right.
If you came off, you were crook on it. It's not like coming off for a spell. It was coming off because you're getting the kick in the backside because you weren't doing the right thing.
Yes. Yep. And Mr. Football, as we mentioned before, Teddy Whitten, you would have been obviously thereabouts with him being forward, you being a backman.
Yes.
What do you remember about Teddy?
Yes, Teddy, he was all in.
Yes.
That's my way of putting it.
Yep.
He was all in. He competed and contested all the time. He was a little bit dirty.
You said something about you put a bit of mud on your face or something like that?
Yeah, he'd put his hand and pick up a handful of mud and rub it into your face and those sort of things. You know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned to me that he might have derailed Phil's career
Yes.
with a knee in the back. What
Yes.
happened there?
What I understand is that he was in a contest and Phil was on the bottom side of it.
Right.
And the knees just happened to hit him in the middle of the back in the kidneys.
Right.
And that really finished his career. He still played quite a bit after that, Phil.
Yep.
But he'd play a game and miss a game at the end and that sort of thing. With
He's
his
never
back,
quite the same.
With his back, he couldn't get continuity to be able to play continuously.
Yep.
Even though in '64, I think he was runner-up to the Brownlow with
Yes, he was. Yeah.
Kenny Fraser. With Ken Fraser.
Yeah. I'm not. Who won it or?
No, Gordon Collis won it.
Okay. Yes.
And
Yes.
Phil was equal with
was
Ken.
Kenny
Kenny
Fraser.
Fraser.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think you're
I
right.
believe.
Yeah, we're Essendon supporters, so
Oh,
yes. Yeah.
wow.
We didn't tell him that we knocked on the door.
No, we didn't.
We got in
We
first.
wanted to get in. I used to be a Hawthorn supporter when I was back in when you were playing. Your best opponents. We'll get to the celebrations of the grand final, but I'm thinking the likes of Daryl Baldock. Did you play on the dock, or
I did.
how good was the dock? They say he was a master.
The ball was on a string. It was like a yo-yo.
Right.
Now, he was only my size, really,
Yep.
Darryl. And he wasn't all that fast, but
Yep.
he just seemed to bounce the ball, use the ball, bring it back to him as if it was on a string.
Yes.
Just like a yo-yo.
Yep.
and I was unfortunate to have to play on him a couple of times.
Right.
Maybe not for a full game, but, you know, changing when he's changing and that.
Yes.
And I never knew where he was.
Yep. So you'd rate him as one of your better opponents?
Yes.
Any others that sort of jumped to mind that you...
I played on in Melbourne's forward pocket. No, half forward flank. He used to kick a lot of goals.
Not Hassaman, no, he's on the
I
wing.
did play an odd one on Hassaman. Oh, golly. And I remember one time, in those days, after the game, you would be able to mix with the opposition.
Yes.
And I can recall going into, after the game, people like Norm Smith
Yes.
would come up to you and say, good game, you're doing well, do this and do that.
Right.
I don't
Fantastic.
think that sort of thing happens now.
No, I don't think it does.
Worse for it too.
Worse for it, yeah.
His brother and was the same.
Yes.
And Reg Hickey down at Geelong.
Geelong, yep.
They'd always mix and talk. Now, I was somebody that never spoke.
Right. Oh, you actually just mentioned before, just while we're speaking on that you said John Kennedy used to send you into World of Sport.
Yes, yes. The idea of sending me, I believe, was that I never said anything. And
So they'd ask you a question and you just say,
I'd say, yep. And what about this fella? No. Yep. So
Don't let any secrets out.
and obviously back in,
John had his ways with things too.
Yes.
For sending me.
No, I love that story. Now I'm thinking when you won the grand final, first VFL premiership for Hawthorn, 1961, what were the celebrations like afterwards? Back at Glenferrie Oval? Or?
We went to Con Canis, I think, which was the second player, early days, and his brother at a bistro at Chadstone, a new bistro in Chadstone.
Right.
Centre. Then went back to the ground and all that sort of thing.
Okay. Okay. And a lot of supporters back as well?
Yes, on the Sunday. And
Right.
That too. Yeah, great.
Oh, I can imagine that it would have been a very busy place in Hawthorn on that weekend.
Jeff Tunderidge. That's
Oh, Jeff
the-
Tunbridge.
Tunbridge, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
He is-
Good get,
He
yeah.
was the Melbourne player.
Yeah, good player.
He's always got his 3 or 4 goals.
Yes.
And I remember Norm Smith saying it to me. Jeff told me that was the least number of kicks he had in a game.
Right. Okay. It's a good
So
result.
I did get on top of him one day.
Right.
I did play on the other fellow you just said.
Yes. And Hassanan, is that the one you're talking
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, played on Hassa.
Yep.
There's some good players.
What about
Well,
on
Doug
the
Wade?
forward flank.
Was Doug Wade back in you?
Phil played on Doug Wade.
Right. Yes.
Yes. He was a good forward.
Yep.
But I never really had any real contact with him.
Right.
Being on the flank.
Yep.
In those days, you played your positions and you followed. You had one man to beat, and if you were able to get on top of him,
Yep.
you played a good game.
So these days, a halfback flank is often a rebounding sort
That's
of
right.
That you weren't that sort of. You just
No.
shut your man. That was your role.
That was it.
Yep. Yep.
That was it.
Right.
You'd move across, backwards and forwards.
Yes.
Like if the centre half back was moving across, you'd take his man and all that sort of thing. But that's as far as we went.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. 1963, you played in another grand final against
Yes,
Geelong. I think you
yes.
said you were a bit surprised because you didn't get many games that year. And
No. I think I played only a few. One of them was against Geelong,
yes.
down at Geelong, and I got 2 goals.
Right. Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Graham Arthur couldn't play.
Yes.
So I was able to, I got a game and I got 2 goals. Now, a half-back flanker can get 2 goals. I think I was on the ball taking Graham Arthur's spot.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. You did tell me that towards 1964 was your last year at Hawthorn, that they tried to send you down to Tasmania in order to get Peter Hudson to the club. What's the story there?
Before that, I did then get into the seniors for all the final series.
In
And that's
in 63?
63, the
Yes.
whole series, yeah, which
Yep.
is a bit of a mystery to me that I couldn't get a game during the year, and I put it down to Brendan Edwards came back
Right.
and they wanted to play him. They picked him in my spot, but he never played there, and they just shuffled things around.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I don't mind bowing to Brendan because he was a good footballer.
Yeah, played the centre mainly, didn't you,
Yes,
Brent?
yes,
Yep.
yes. He kept us in that grand final
Right.
until half time or so. So,
Yep.
yeah.
They were a pretty good side, I think, the Cats in '63. Bobby Davis's Cats.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. And I played on. Yeah, doesn't matter.
No, that's a long time ago.
Yeah, it is.
So well, let's jump to that the Tassie story. In 1964, they tried to shuffle you down to Tasmania to get Peter Hudson.
After 64, I don't think I played too many games, and at the end of the season, I started to get letters from different country towns around Victoria and that.
Yes.
Want to know whether I wanted to coach, and I started to scratch my head. Nobody ever told me that I was on the out or you're out.
Right.
I was just happy playing in the seconds and that sort of thing. But
Yep.
with all these letters and things, I thought, oh well, I must be used to something. And I believe some of it was they needed somebody to go to Tassie to help Spot Foster or something after Peter Hudson left. A bit of goodwill, I
Yes.
think, more than anything.
Right.
A bit of goodwill. And I was asked to go to Penguin. And we were just married, Helen and I. And I knew if I went there, I could talk footy
Yep.
in my way, a little bit, but I was amongst football. And if Helen went over and she didn't know anybody and Mum wasn't there, and I think we had one child that if she wasn't happy, it wouldn't work.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I came back. I didn't go, I then was approached by Blackburn.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Do you want to stop it and do a second?
Well, we will in a minute. We'll just finish the Hawthorn section of the chat. We might pick it up in the next session, but Hudson, I think at the time, was a teenage prodigy, wasn't he? He was kicking mountains of goals down in
Mountains of
Tassie.
goals over in Tassie.
Yeah, so they were keen to get him. Just lastly on your Hawthorn times, Steb, some of the grounds that you would have played at. I mean, this is back in the old suburban grounds days.
Yes.
You must have fond memories of playing at Glen Ferry with a train going in the background
Yes, in the mud.
and the mud.
A couple of photos there of it.
What grounds did you really hate going to?
The old Fitzroy ground got pretty muddy too.
Yes.
Junction Oval was always pretty good. That always had a reasonable service on it. The MCG to me was just everything.
Everything, yep. Well, I'm thinking, obviously, Dermy and I would think at Essendon at Windy Hill, very nice people there, and they wouldn't have given you a hard time, but I can imagine at Collingwood they would have, at Victoria Park, that must be.
Yes. Yeah, Victoria. As I said, in the under 18s, I had rocks thrown. Yes, that wasn't so good.
Yep.
Windy Hill was windy though.
Yes.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, listen,
Which deteriorates the game in the wind.
yes.
I'd
Yep.
rather play in rain than wind.
Yes. Okay. All right, Steph, listen, we're going to take a break there because that's a great recount of your Hawthorn days.
Yeah, great career. Great career.
We'll all come up for air, have a break, and we'll come back and talk about your time at Blackburn.
I'll kill it.
Yep.